sounds like whispers through the air. A cosmic map, she lays it bare. Stars align, they tell the tale. Danyell Carmelita never fails. She reads the cards, they flip, they turn, lessons ignite.
Hello, you guys. Welcome. It is me, Danyell Carmelita, your favorite tarot reader and astrologer. I am going to be editing that intro. That's just me making sure everyone's uploaded. And because we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, X, which is Twitter to me still, and Twitch. We are on Twitch. I'm trying to keep up with the young crowd. Anyway, how are my lashes? Are my lashes okay? I feel like one is looking a little sad. Anyway, we'll ignore that. I am back. Welcome. Wait a minute. Some of you guys are like, some of you guys are like, wait, where did you go? If you're new here, I left for what? How long? I had surgery September 25th. And I had some uploads, pre-uploaded, but you know what? Whatever, I am back. Hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome. It is me, Danyell Carmelita, your favorite tarot reader and astrologer, and we are doing your weekly astrology. And I am covering more of just a week. Of course, one, because I was out, and the other reason is because yesterday Mercury was retrograding. Well, it started retrograding. We did the post-shadow phase. I'm hoping the title of this is correct. I'm hoping it is. Anyway, but we got some big stuff here. So we got Mercury retrograding, and it's going to move through the sign Sagittarius. It is retrograding as I am filming this live November 10th, and it will go back into the sign Scorpio. So note that for yourself for personal reasons. And then Jupiter is going to be retrograding this week. And then we have a sun that is in the sign Scorpio. Happy Scorpio solar return to all my Scorpios. But happy Scorpio season to everyone. We can all celebrate Scorpio season. But it will have a kite pattern. I'll break that down and what that means for the vibe in the sky for the collective. So this week, the vibe is about truth, transformation. We have a lot of emotional growth. We have some positivity with water signs, so that is great. So grab your tea. I actually have my lemon water. For hydration, I haven't had tea since I've had surgery. And that is, if you know me, that is very bizarre. I haven't even had matcha. I was thinking of having matcha for the first time today. My taste buds have completely changed. It's so bizarre. Anyway, so grab your tea, get comfy, and let's dive into the patterns that are shaping your transformation right now. You guys, I have some new music. Okay. I've used the AI. Okay. To create these songs. Tell me what you think. I'm still working on the intro, but here we go.
Under the stars, I see it all. Planets spinning, cosmic call.
Okay, so here are the dates. November 9th, which was yesterday for me, we have Mercury. It started to retrograde in a sign Sagittarius. On the 11th, that is when Jupiter will start retrograding in a sign Cancer. On the 12th, we have Mars conjunct Mercury. These are the exact dates. I'm going to explain it in a little bit more of a astrologer way, but a little bit more simplified, because Mercury retrograding, it's sitting next to Mars. So how can you not talk about Mercury retrograding and not talk about Mars? It's affecting us. And we've had this transit for a good minute. Also, too, that's when we have that kite November 2nd officially, but we will be filling that also this week. On the 17th, which a little bit goes... on the 17th is the end of the week, but we still have that sun in Scorpio. It's going to trine Saturn. That's that kite. But when we have on the 18th is the beginning of next week. And then that's when Mercury will be entering Scorpio. And we will discuss that here as well. So let's bring up the juice, okay? We're going to bring up the real tea and see how is everything going to affect us this week, okay? So on the 9th here, which I have this on the 10th. But on the 9th, we see officially at 6 degrees. And when Mercury comes back to 6 degrees, that means it will officially be out of the post shadow retrograde. So remember 6 degrees. I'm saying that to myself too. But if you see there, that's when you have Mercury retrograding in the sign Sagittarius as of yesterday. Mercury is the planet that is tied to our communication, our day-to-day travel, our thought processing, organizing information. I said day-to-day travel, our community, technology, anything written. So contracts, things that you sign, even if you're on an airplane, because some people travel every day via airplane. If you're on a bike, if you're walking, freeway accidents. You guys drive safe. Sagittarius is very daring, likes to move fast with that fire sign. But anytime, any type of information, also commerce and trade. Mercury is also the planet of pranks and pranksters. So anytime Mercury retrogrades, it's like you're playing a prank on me. You lose your keys, you lose your wallet, because wallet represents that commerce energy. Now, when you have any planet retrograding, you're talking about a redoing of stuff, repeating, remembering, revisiting, reviewing. Okay, any of those are words. Also, it's going to bring disruptions and delays anytime you have Mercury, any planet retrograding. Now, Sagittarius, that brings on the extra spice. It is a fire sign. Okay, that's a Leo, but it's still very fiery. Okay, so you bring the heat. It does like external energy, so it's not just dealing with internal. It wants to deal with the world. Literally, is Sagittarius. It includes your beliefs. It includes higher learning, philosophy, higher knowledge, travel. Mercury is also dealing with day-to-day travel, so airplanes could be a big issue. We'll talk about that. Also, Saturn represents publishing. The Gemini is the opposing sign, and Gemini is like writing the book. And then Sagittarius says, let's publish the book. And it also is involving YouTube and anyone, not on stage, but anyone trying to deal with the World Wide Web. Okay. The bigger picture of thinking. Okay. So, and let's talk about dates. November 9th is when it retrogrades. It will end retrograde November 29th. And then let me see when the shadow phase, which I've already talked before, the shadow phase will fully end when it hits 6 degrees, and that would be December 16th. Okay. So those are the dates. I hope you guys remember them. Remember, the key challenges here is anything dealing with communication and beliefs. Mercury is the sign where it is less comfortable, sometimes in its detriment. So when you are retrograding, you're risking being overboard, overly broad, thinking of the big picture and not thinking of the smaller picture, because Mercury is at home in Gemini. This is the opposing sign, and it's like, where are the details? You're just glazing over the details, so be aware of that. Also, again, traveling, legal is also Sagittarius, if I didn't say that earlier. So delays in reviewing contracts. If you're signing anything that's dealing with studying, school, higher learning, your philosophy, religion, anything dealing with law, be very careful. There's also assuming the truth versus the truth. This is a good period to question long held beliefs. What do you strongly believe? Your philosophy, studying it and learning it. Remember, the big picture may be a big issue. So read the fine print. Focus on the details. Being Sagittarius, because Sagittarius likes to think of the horizon. What's on the horizon? The detail slips away. So be aware of that. Remember reviewing the past. If you are a Sagittarius, you may hear a knock at the door and you're like, who is that? Someone's calling me, and it is a homie from the past. A lot of that for all my Sagittarius signs. Okay. So it may be a good thing as well. So just review your beliefs, back up all your tech, even now, but don't delete anything. Be careful with deleting and cleansing. Double check any travel plans. And remember, don't get lost in the bigger picture. Now, when Mercury is retrograding, it will be conjunct this Mars here. And when it's conjunct the Mars, hold on, I'm like cleaning my stuff here. It's like all these windows are open. When it is conjunct Mars here, oh wait, let me see. Am I even okay? Yes. When it's conjunct Mars, this is a big thing. Now we've already been feeling this. This is a little aggressive. Some people are really like, did you really say that? That's kind of very assertive or aggressive because Mercury is sitting next to Mars, and Mars is the planet that likes to be very assertive. Now, officially, I think on the 12th is when the doozy really happens here, but you're feeling this already. Mercury sitting next to Mars is very rash with words, very heated words. A lot of people are very sarcastic. There's a lot of insults, hectic mental stress, impulsive debates, blunt with the truth bombs, especially in Sagittarius. Sagittarius, boy, holds nothing back. It's like, well, I was trying to help you. Your hair is ugly. You're fat. You're lazy. And you're like, well, that was blunt. Also, too, a lot of passion anytime you're dealing with fire signs. So passionate convictions or your ideology or clashing because you are talking about philosophies with Sagittarius. Mars brings the sharpness, the tools, and Mercury brings the words. So very sharp opinions, very sharp with words. Also too very passionate, mental energy, and could be very determined as well. Conjunctions are strong, but they are good or bad. So these could be that you really have the drive to talk and share. And Mercury likes to share what it learns. Mercury also likes to learn. So a lot of determination with learning. I find that's been happening with me. So you could have that, especially with your philosophy. Sagittarius also is higher learning, could represent astrology as well. So you do have that, and you want to focus on the details at the same time, the big picture. So you do have that as well. Okay. So that is what we have collectively. This is a lot of political debates. You have the division as of last night, we had the government shut down. I think it's over, but we have a lot of division here. The Democrats voted, I call them the Bloods and the Crips. I am an American, but I have my personal beliefs on both sides. But the Bloods and Crips are fighting. So you do have that, and you have that Mercury sitting next to Mars. So that's a big part of that. So a lot of aggression, a lot of wars when it comes to the truth, when it comes to knowledge and your philosophies. So be aware of that when you are out there debating people. Be aware that Mercury is retrograding, you guys. Sometimes you have to use discernment, and maybe just wait until around December to come back at that person. Anyway, but a lot of aggression online, a lot of verbal clashes online. So get ready for that. This is about freedom and truth. So Sagittarius doesn't want to be held down. It's like Aquarius. So a lot of issues with that, a lot of issues with traveling and accidents. So Sagittarius, anytime Mercury is retrograding in Sagittarius, it's like, do you want to really get on that plane? And I'm not saying you're going to die. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying there is some delays and unexpected things. Okay. But people speaking too soon also too, you get this with that Mars there, being very impulsive with speech, a lot of urgency. That Mars brings the urgency. So it's almost like if an Aries, and Aries are like, they don't think before they speak, and it's like that's what you're getting with this. Okay. So mental restlessness, speaking out of frustration, passion, and it needs to be reevaluated, okay? In a good and bad way. So pause before reacting, redirect your anger, maybe go out there and teach or inspire others. That's really great with that Mars. Mars is very inspirational. Reconsider some old beliefs. Maybe it's a great time to not even debate. Maybe it's a great time to listen and actually learn something, okay? And remember, we are talking about fire. Sagittarius is very mutable, so it likes change, is very flexible. It likes to see the vision. So maybe add that to this whole time, all the way until December. Okay. Yes, all the way until December. A lot of lessons here. Okay. Now, I want to go over the dates while Mercury is retrograding in Sagittarius. Now, on the 18th of November, we have it will enter 0 degrees in Sagittarius. Okay. That means it's very strong. Okay. Listen to the words when I start to whisper and get close to the mic. 0 degrees means very potent. Okay. So if you are traveling and you already pre-planned this way before Mercury is retrograding, you're fine. But be flexible because that Sagittarius is very mutable and it likes to have a lot of change. Okay. Now, speaking the mind, telling the truth, being blunt, being honest, having debates, someone trying to change your belief system, even this deals with law, be aware of it. It's going to be very strong. Now, Mercury also deals with the news. Every time Mercury is involved, when you have a big headline, Mercury is involved, or Gemini or Sagittarius. So Be aware of people speaking their mind, especially in politics, the climate of the world. Just be aware of that. Big statements, and it could be backfiring. Whenever you have a retrograde, you have a lot of apologies too happening. Okay. So some prediction is some public conversations that are dealing with global, because Sagittarius does deal with the world. It could be dealing with religion, higher education as well. Personally, you might be torn because Sagittarius is very optimistic sign. So you could be overly optimistic about thinking about something or analyzing something. You could be like, yeah, oh, easy peasy, and then you realize you promised too much. So just be aware of that. Just remember, pause, take your time. A lot of apology, revise any travel or legal plans, unless you're forced to do it. Okay, now on the 19th, it goes from that 0 degrees and it hits 29 degrees. Mercury moves fast, and also it'll go to 28 degrees. Now when it has that 29 degrees, it's going to immediately oppose Uranus. Also, too, on the 19th, we have a new moon in Scorpio. It will enter Scorpio. And then on top of that, I remember there's a wedge here. Yes. Neptune is in 29 degrees and it is in Pisces. So this energy is working really good with this energy. But it's opposing Uranus. Okay, so this opposition to Uranus is something fast, something moving fast, or something dealing with high intellectual energy. Is inside Taurus. A lot of lacking in resources. Taurus is about we don't have enough money, we don't have enough food. What we value is gone. That could probably be all over social media that day. Now, Scorpio is the sign that deals with insurance. I know we are dealing with the government stopping and now they're running, but maybe that will come back up because it is retrograding. These planets are retrograding, so they're redoing. Now, Uranus is also in charge of airplanes. So I just want you to understand that while Mercury is in Scorpio, this could be issues for flying as well. Sudden revelations, emotional breakthroughs. There could be a data leak. People may speak very impulsively, revealing something that is supposed to be in the dark, dark taboo world. Expect some emotional intensity because that's what that Scorpio energy brings, intensity. A lot of disruptions in tech, finances, anything dealing with shared resources or loans or taxes. Yeah, just be ready for that, or maybe even some surprise confession. These two signs here, Scorpio and Taurus, they're dealing with money. Okay, so issues with money could be a big thing. Uranus is like cryptocurrency or some kind of money that comes fast. Okay, just stay flexible and being calm. And then also too, we have it conjunct that new moon the same day. So this is a time of manifesting. This is also this new energy of a new cycle. It's creating a wedge here. This is what we have. We have this planet opposing this planet, and then there is this triangle here. Ooh, also too, we have it here. It's a kite, actually. We actually have a kite, not a wedge, but we also have a kite because Jupiter's involved. So the positivity of the water signs and your intuition is all there. Is very strong. A lot of emotions really working well for you. Not really talking about the words, but feeling, having an intuition, and it really worked for you. However, there's this opposition with something moving fast or something dealing with intellect or the social media or something dealing with the sky, a very air energy, but even technology, even AI in your resources. Okay. So it's like the machine is not downloading the information. Okay. Yeah. So be aware of that. This is going to be the main focus, even though we have a lot of positivities with intuition and your feeling in your gut and emotions, all that is working very well. Creativity is very in sync. Relationships are very in sync. However, there's something dealing with the resources, something dealing with what you value. Even the throat could be an issue. Taurus does represent stocks. If you are someone who is doing money that day, I follow your intuition and pause it. If I don't know how stocks work. This also represents the banks. Okay. So that is what we have this week. Get ready. On the 19th, I actually am flying, which really bugs me, but that's fine. It was already done, and it's the time to be flexible. Okay. time to be calm and follow your intuition. Now, Mercury is going to make that water trine. I said that Saturn is going to bring the energy of emotional intelligence, a lot of like forgiveness, and it's usually negative, but this negativity is being more realistic. And then, two, now you have the spiritual aspect of compassion and love and creativity. All that is working very well with abundance and luck, and expansion. So all these things are really big, and maybe even your philosophy and your religion, or maybe something dealing with law, is all working very well. It's just that you have to, the focus point is this opposition. You need to find a balance between what you think versus this, okay? And then we have that new moon. This is a time to manifest all these things. But there is going to be something that you need to balance here. And it's something either dealing with the future, technology, gadgets. It all, everyone's different. So I'm trying to give you all this energy so you can understand, but something that's very high tech, or something that's very highly communicative, because this is very communicative. But this is dealing with that. You know what this makes me think of? Someone who makes something from scratch. Going back to the traditions of things too. This is very traditional, and at the same time, it doesn't want to be traditional. It's like the new traditions. Okay. Now Mercury will be quincunx Chiron, and this is going to be on the 23rd. And when it quincunxes that Chiron and are both retrograding, Chiron is the planet of healing on the 23rd. And now there's some discomfort. It is healing of the self because it's in a sign of Aries, or something new, or something first. But a lot of arguments and maybe some misunderstandings about the insecurity of the individual, of the self, of the I, of the selfishness, or the impulsive energy. So be aware of that on the 23rd. And on the 24th, then we have Mercury conjunct Venus. This is like love here. It's like, oh, am I in love? Now we're having deep conversations, a lot of emotional and Scorpio, intense conversations about partnerships. Venus represents teams, attracting money, what you naturally attract, the finances as well, even friendships. So a lot of like healing and psychological truths are things that are very taboo in relationships could be happening. And now, as far as the news, we could be having some secret relationships coming out. The sun is not really involved. The sun brings it out to everyone, but maybe something in the news as far as relationships, if we're lucky to see it. Scorpio is very secretive, but old lovers, financial entanglements could resurface. Secrets in relationships may be discussed out in the open. Creative passions could be returning. You could feel like, I want to be more creative with that Venus there. Venus also represents law and justice, and having justice and balance and things too, and discussing that in a big way. And it could bring some psychological healing. Now, on the 29th of November, this is when it goes direct and it ends, and it's like, yay! Oh my gosh, because it was so intense in Scorpio. Okay. So just know that you could be now, it's not a cloud, but the discussions are still intense, but it's helping you. You're moving forward, you learn the lessons, and now it's going to repeat all the stuff that, the drama that you went through. Now you're like, you know what, I've been here before, I can do this. Make a few days to gain the speed though, because remember, it's still post retrograding until it hits 6 degrees. But things will start flowing. It'll be wiser, you'll be calmer, you'll be more strategic. While Mercury is in Scorpio, there is this energy of detective work and finding out the secrets and using your intuition. Like, this seems suspicious, let me research it. Scorpio is a very fixated sign, so a lot of researching things could be happening while Mercury is in Scorpio as well. Okay, so that is what we have. Let me go back to the current week, and let's talk about November 11th. And that's when we have Jupiter will be retrograding in Sagittarius. So, here it's not retrograding as of the 10th, as I am filming this live, or you are listening to this via podcast. I never say I'm on podcast, so you're probably listening to this on Spotify or Apple. I think I'm on Amazon too. Wherever you're listening to this, hello, please download, share this episode. I'm sure you can rate it too. So Jupiter is retrograding. What does that mean? Jupiter retrograding. First of all, entered Cancer, I think on June, in sometime in the summer. So I'll say June 9th. And then it starts to retrograde on the 11th. It will stop retrograding March 10th. Very normal for the bigger planets that are not personal to retrograde like half of the year. This is normal. Now, Jupiter likes being in Cancer. It's like, hey, I'm comfortable here. So it performs well in a sign. Cancer is a water sign. So it's very emotional. You're dealing with relationships. It's ruled by the moon. So whatever the moon is doing is affecting Jupiter. So when we have a full moon, a new moon, an eclipse, it's affecting Jupiter, and Jupiter expands everything. But Cancer itself is representing a family, our roots, our history, our emotional security, our home. You're talking about real estate, childcare, mother care, mothers, father figures as well, wherever you feel safe. And then food also is involved with that. The food industry, anything dealing with water. So the tornadoes and not tornadoes, is that water? Tsunamis, things dealing with water, even all the water animals, oils in the water, all that stuff. Jupiter brings opportunities related to those things too. So like you could be buying a house this year, already have. Your family is getting bigger. You become a grandmother. You become a mother. Your home, you expand. You change your home. Agriculture, land, parenting, all that stuff gets more bigger. Now, on a positive side. Now, the negative side is that Jupiter is very extravagant. Okay, Jupiter is a ruler of Sagittarius. If you know the way Sagittarius dress, it's like take some of these things off. Okay, so Jupiter is team too much. It expands everything it touches, so it will be doing too much. Now, it's when it's reversing, will the too much be less? That could be a possibility, or maybe it's way too much. Maybe you went way too like you're too gaudy. I think that it will reduce for the most part. Now it's in Cancer, so people are less sensitive and people are more sensitive with this Jupiter in Cancer. They could be cautious about traditions. It's moody in this sign. A lot of people are moody, and maybe that will change the mood of people. Yeah. So now, one thing that I saw that was really huge is that it's squaring Chiron. We'll get in that into as I get into the signs. Let me see if I have everything. Strengthening your intuition, deeper about your roots and your past. A lot of people, Jupiter in Cancer, my personal experiences, my father-in-law, because of the DNA testing, found out like, oh, I have another child, which is very positive. But a lot of DNA linkage to your family and your past, getting close to your mom, whether they're alive or not, just researching that and getting close to that energy. Let me see if I have anything else. Um, I tried to give it all. I have a video that I linked. Well, in the last, I think I in the last. I didn't do November transits because I wasn't feeling well, but I did do it on my newsletter. So I linked the video. But I want you guys to check out the playlist of 2025. It's not expired because Jupiter is still in Cancer. Check out that video. You'll learn a lot. But Jupiter retrograding is going to bring some lessons that you ignored while Jupiter is in Cancer. So if you ignored your past, if you're like, I don't want to do the DNA test, I don't want to know about my history, I don't want to respect my mom, I don't want a relationship with my mom, I don't care about my roots, I don't care about my fixing my home, these things will come. These things are now going to be changed. Jupiter's retrograding. It's like, wake the F up. I was giving you luck, but now we're not doing it. Okay. So overindulgence and emotional comfort, clinging to things that are, you need to let go and reduce, because Cancer is, it's a crab. It likes to hold on to things and it's always looking in the past. And maybe that has to be reduced. Okay. A lot of forgiveness is probably what you need to do. Shaky foundations. If you have a shaky home life, family life, this is going to come up to surface. If you have emotional issues for our safety, this is going to come up, and there's going to be something that needs to be forgiven, released, or fixed. Or maybe you got to let go of something and not hoard onto it. Cancer relates to the roots in the past, so you might find old emotional wounds when it comes to family. So let's see, what else do I have here? Now, the positive thing is that Jupiter is trining these two planets here. It's doing that water trine. There's a lot of healing. Jupiter will have that new moon manifesting in Scorpio, so that's very positive. So there is going to be a lot of healing and compassion and creativity, especially when it comes to father figures. Saturn represents the father. Saturn also represents if you have any emotional baggage in your past dealing with institutions or police officers or anyone that was very restrictive, or those mentors. Saturn does represent limit and borders, but now you have a positivity aspect added to it. So while it's retrograding, you will have that positive energy, and I find that to be a blessing. Energy dissolves old systems and boundaries while creating new spiritual and creative frameworks. Definitely is one of the any type of institutions and belief in the institutions, and the, having an intuition towards it, and having a spiritual maturity towards that, and blending your intuition with structure and your dreams and creativity, because Neptune is sitting there, and your faith and purpose. So yeah, did I do? Oh, I didn't do the dates. Okay, so here, let me break this down. So as of November 17th, Jupiter will trine the sun, which we talked about that, but now it's just the sun with the new moon. And there's going to be a lot of highlighting when it comes to anything dealing with your emotions and secrets and taboo, but it's very positive. It's just going to land on your lap. You don't have to do anything. You could be really lazy. You could just be at home. And there is something that's going to spark that intuition in your emotions. And it could be something from your past. It could be something with shared income and finances too, or like some controlling aspects, but it's very positive. You feel more empowered, and there's some psychological healing that could be happening that day. Now, on the 19th of November, which we had that kite here, we do have that kite. I've discussed that. Yeah, so that is also involving Jupiter and expansion, and that is when we have the new moon. So we have our emotions involved. Remember, the new moon is in charge of Jupiter. So a lot of communication involving that day, and it's going to be in a big way. Now, on the November 26th, is when we have here, now it's trining Jupiter. Venus is trining Jupiter, and not only are you discussing these things and having these intense conversations, but there is a lot of luck and expansion. And it could be something from the past, because that Cancer energy is there, or something dealing with safety. So maybe you're going out with your mom, and you guys are getting your hair done, and you're having this deep discussion. I say hair because I'm thinking aesthetics, even nails, but something dealing in it. Maybe you're at a beautiful garden, and you're having this great discussion with your mom about healing. Something in that aspect could be happening. But if it's not mom, right, it's just something with a woman, and there's healing involved. And it could be something from your past, or something that you've been holding on tight to, and you're not letting go. Okay. Now, on December 21st, we skip all the way to there, because Jupiter moves slower than Mercury. But on December 21st, that is when we have Chiron and Jupiter. They're squaring. This is issues with healing of the self, healing of the individual, or some selfish healing, something that's very new or is very impulsive and fast. And there's even healing with war or sharp objects, or even something dealing with blood, right? Because that's what Aries represents. And there's some type of conflict here. There's tension here, and it could be something dealing with your past. Jupiter expands things. Jupiter is supposed to be a benefic planet. So whatever it touches, even though there's a challenge, it's going to end up good for you. But be aware of the healing. Don't be afraid of it, because that Aries is very bold, right? It wants to confront. It is the sign of warrior energy. But there's something from your past that you're not releasing. Scorpio is just, to me, always looking back. You're always looking at the back of a Scorpio's head. It's like, what are you looking back there for? Let's be present. And maybe this is the healing that wants you to be present, because that Aries energy likes to be present. Now, when we go into January, all of these planets will move into Capricorn. There will be opposition to this abundance, this extra outness, and maybe Capricorn wants to reduce, but there's an expansion here. So that could be an issue. Be aware of January. Also, too, Jupiter represents law. Philosophy, I said that, religion, also too how people are connected together, hence why we have the law and philosophies. So a lot of issues with that. It can't see eye to eye. There needs to be a balance. But then once these planets move on to Pisces, then it's very positive. There's expansion, there's abundance. And then that's when Jupiter in March will stop retrograding. But before we'll stop retrograding, it's going to have a lot of positive trines with these personal planets over here. So that's very positive in March. So Jupiter in March, in January is a little conflict, but in March it's going to be very positive for the collective. So that is what we have far as the beginning of this week in November. Now let's talk about the sun, because as of November 16th, here we have the sun, and now the sun has entered the party. It has a kite. It's going to be opposing this Uranus. It's going to be sitting here positive with these two planets and positive with Jupiter. So it's a water grand trine, but it has that kite. And water energy is very positive when it comes to your intuition, when it comes to your faith, when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to creativity, any type of just feelings and emotions and security. No, I'm trying to not repeat myself. Relationships is what I was thinking too. Emotional intelligence also is what you get with this. I probably said that 1,000 times, but yeah, it'll be working really great. There's going to be a lot of highlighting of this, but there's also going to be an awareness of the stocks, of the of banks, of our resources, what we value. There will be a highlight of this. Feelings versus thinking, intuitions versus logic, privacy versus exposure. Let me see. This is the privacy. This is going to be awareness. I'm trying to see what else. I just think of finances, you guys. That's going to be a big one. The lesson of the kite: gift through tension. Uranus supplies shock and liberation, especially with traditions and things that are very old. All that's going to come up too. And that's what we have for this week. I know I went beyond this week. I talked about Jupiter retrograding and Mercury retrograding, but I want you to understand what's going on in your future and be aware of that. But far as this week, right, when we're just talking about this week, we have the Mercury's retrograding in Sagittarius. If you want to just isolate it to this week, traveling, thinking in abundance, thinking over the big picture and not thinking of details, be aware of that. Jupiter retrograding in Cancer, people in the sensitivity level, it's gone. Okay, so that is one thing, and a lot of people healing from their past and their mother and their wounds, all that's going to be stirring back up. Even maybe some past things from court could be coming back up. Mars sitting next to Mercury, a lot of people will have a lot of sharp tongue. You could be very motivated in learning as well. That's the positive side of things that you should have been finishing learning. November 16th, we do have that sun, and we're trying Jupiter, and we're trying Neptune and Saturn, and then it will have that kite. So be aware of that, the opposition of moving fast and resources. And it could be something that's dealing with online issues too. As of November 17th, we talked about the sun already, but as the 18th, Mercury will enter Scorpio, and there's a lot of deep conversations happening that day. Okay. I'm going to pull some cards for the week first because I didn't do November. We'll do November. Okay. So let me pull some cards for November. Oh, here I have my book here because I was looking at Mars conjunct Jupiter, and this is the archetype universe, and this is by Reen Butler. Very popular book if you're into astrology. But I was looking at the shadow side because I always like to look at the negative. Not the positive when Mars is conjunct or just involving Mercury. A lot of sharp opinions and disagreements, rash and heated words. You are talking about fire signs, so that's definitely happening. A lot of quarrels, a lack of harmony and grace in speaking because it's very impulsive with that Mars. A rude and unsubtle delivery, a tendency to prosecute matters forward energetically. I don't know if I'm saying the word right, but without sensitivity, you're just moving forward. You're not thinking. There's no sensitivity towards anything being said. Words are like swords, shall play the orators of us. It's a quote. Slander, angry, vows. Let me see. Mental restlessness, hectic details and demands, busy office work, stressful drives in traffic. Oh, yeah, especially with that Mercury. Just moving too fast, having no patience, right? Cursing everyone out. It's like rush hour 24/7. Sharp and discordant sounds. Sorry. Just me reading at a third grade level. Okay, so let's pull some cards. I'm going to pull some for November. And in November, the month of November, we have the Nine of Swords. If you see this, this represents nightmares, anxiety, can't sleep, restless nights, a lot of depression, overthinking things, a lot of fear, paranoia, negativity, isolation, despair. What can we do with that? Because that sounds very negative. We have the Nine of Wands. You need to persevere and stay strong. You need to keep pushing. You need to be resilient. This is about your faith being tested. So stand your ground. This is the final push. Anytime you're dealing with a nine of anything, this involves the heat and the drive. So you got to stay strong. Maybe set some boundaries. Maybe this is going to be the last stand, but you need to have some grit. You need to close. You're close to success. It's just about finishing. Okay, so if you're losing sleep with that Nine of Swords this month, that's that Mercury and that Mars. It says it literally has Jupiter, not Jupiter. It literally has Gemini and Mars together, and that could be bringing a lot of overthinking and a very, very frustrated and negative darkness energy in the month of November. Be aware of that. And to be positive and to change that energy around, you need to start moving forward. You probably need to set some boundaries with people, and you just need to stay strong. You need to be like, no, I stand my ground here. I'm not moving. I'm not giving up. And you need to keep moving forward. Okay. So flip that energy into not aggressive energy, but just assertive energy in a positive light. Okay. So now for you this week, we have the Five of Pentacles. And not surprising with a lot of things dealing with finances, but the Five of Pentacles is thinking in lack. You're thinking of code. It's more like Saturn energy. A lot of the finances and resources, you think it's like we don't have it. Financial loss here, poverty, lack mindset, isolation, left in the cold, worry, hardship. But this also is adversity because now you have a challenge, you learn a lesson. Persistence of spirituality. This is someone who's not thinking in faith or not thinking in God, not being optimistic, and that Mercury retrograding in Sagittarius will take away the optimism. But you need to have faith and you need to think about God and you need to be more optimistic. So maybe end the day with the positivity, 5 great things that happened today, and start the day with 5 great things that you are grateful for. Okay. It could be the smallest thing. This is also a week of saving money, saving your resources. Don't spend. What else do we have this week? Again, all the pentacles. You need to probably talk to people who are into money, not in the gold digging way, but in a way of being responsible. This is the Knight of Pentacles. We also have the Four of Pentacles, which you need to save, not hoard, but save. Okay. But with the Knight of Pentacles, this is someone who has the drive to work on their resources, be practical, be reliable, be stoic, be slow and steady, hardworking. Even if you're trying to make a commitment with a loved one, this is that very grounded energy, very efficient. Um, Earth energy is very practical as a whole, and it looks like we need to work on that this whole week because there's a lot of lack. So let's change the lack into how can we make it prosperous? How can we save our money? How can we be resourceful? And yeah, conservative. Even traditions, also too, when you have the Earth energy too. Okay. So yeah, that is what we have this week. I hope you guys enjoyed videos that I have. I have some notes. Where's my phone? I have some notes because I missed out on a lot. You guys, I was totally out of it when the government shut down. So I want to talk about that, even though it is finished. So I think it is. That's what I heard while I was getting ready. Where are my notes for things? Why don't I have it here? I can't find it. I usually put the things on my phone. Okay. What I could remember is there was a day when I was making my AI music. My husband was also heavily involved with the AI music, and then my son. So I want to look into that, see what that's about. That could be Pluto in Aquarius and that Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces is creativity and money. And music. And then we had them doing an interview, the lady who created AI. So I want to look into that. I'm going to connect that with astrology, see what we have for the future in that. I'm going to talk about the government shutdowns. I want to talk about the war over the minerals. So like the plant minerals to make cell phones. I want to talk about that because I think that there is some secrets below when we have Saturn and Pisces. That's the government and secrets. So I want to talk about the war over mineral plants. I want to talk about the Mariah Carey commercial. I might be late on that, but that will be the next video. Kanye apologizes to rabbis. That is that Uranus retrograding in Gemini at 0 degrees. Okay, he's got a lot of Gemini energy, a lot of back and forth with him, if you didn't know. But yeah, I want to talk about that and health insurance, what we have for the future of health insurance and what that looks like. Okay, that should be the next video. I'm gonna break that all down in my notes. I already have most of it broken down, but I want to also have whole notes on Macron, the president of in Paris, the wife. I want to look at her birth chart and break that down too. So yeah, if you guys are part of my private community, I am going to right now put up the dates of November. That is great for finances, starting a business, love, whatever, all of it. I'm going to put that down now. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys for being here. Don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe, share this, especially if you watched it to the end. All right. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.